What's up, everybody? A Sparrow with a Gun here from Sleepless Nights with another episode on the Space Engineers Inspiration series. We're starting things off today with the lovely Hydrolite transport shuttle. So, basically, as I kind of expected, with the whole update of planets coming out, a lot of people have been making lander-type ships, which I believe this qualifies as. It is a multi-purpose shuttle atmospheric lander ship thingy-mabobber. Yes, that is the official title. Look it up. It is interesting because it talks about in the description that it's built to transport people, equipment, blah, 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 but also other small ships, and I believe it has 2 small hangars to do so, which is pretty cool. Though not where you might expect, apparently, because I would expect it to come in through the bottom here, and this looks like a bunch of thrusters. I was going to say shuttle. That's why that's what that was there for. So yeah, there's a bunch of thrusters on the bottom, which is a little less expected. I thought it would have the open base. Now, there is one other thing. I haven't done a lot of survival playing since Planets came out, mainly because I was kind of bummed that I couldn't do anything on planets, and I'm noticing a third kind of thruster here with a whitish gray kind of tint, and the description mentioned it uses all 3 kinds. It uses ion, which is the blue, hydrogen, which is the yellow, and this, which I'm guessing is the atmospheric thrusters. I don't know what the stats are, which one's better for what kind of fuel types they use, etc., etc., but there it is. It also is interesting to note this is a modless ship, so that is part of the vanilla build now. I did not know that. If you knew that, good for you. Oh, wait. Maybe I did know that, because those are the ones with the jet engine look on the front. Yeah, okay. I did see those. I don't know how they're used, though. I don't know what fuel type they use or anything. So, yes, it was designed for multi-purpose re-entry and transportation. I really like the exterior design. I didn't see a whole lot of screenshots on the inside, but I like the exterior. Because... Open. Thank you. Because I thought it was pretty cool, because it kind of reminded me of like a helicarrier. It had its own little jet engines on the side thing, which is pretty neat. Alright. We are inside here. Let's go ahead and seal up our door again. Sweet. And there are turrets to defend you from unwanted guests. So this is one of the small hangar bays. I'm assuming there's a duplicate on the other side where we saw another one of these airlocks. And you can see the connector here to hook it into the ship. So it's not really for very big ships, but little fighters or drilling ships or something to that extent would probably fit. We got this over here, and this leads into, I'm assuming, more of the main ship. Now this is different. Huh, so that wouldn't actually seal anything. It's not like the doors are keeping everything airtight. Unless there's... Wait a minute, there might be glass. I think I saw glass on the other side. If so, that's a... That was already open. If so, that's a really cool idea. It is a really cool idea. Okay. So, that's an interesting design. I've never seen that before, but really cool. Having the little passageways there. And I think that way leads towards the cockpit, so we're going to look through this section first. I am really, really glad I switched to DX11. I have to admit that. So here's all of our cryo chambers. And I don't think there's any other doors or anything up here, so that's pretty much it. But that's where you would store all of your people. Yeah, I'm really glad I did that. I like the lighting system way better. So more cryo tubes over here. Is there anything else back here? I don't think so. So there's no other component doors or anything back here to go into different rooms. I actually do kind of like this architecture, though. How they have this set up. I don't know why, but it kind of reminds me of like a Star Wars ship from the old original trilogy, like Empire Strikes Back, Cloud City kind of thing. I don't know why I'm getting that vibe. Maybe it's the white walls with the blue lighting. Maybe that's all it is. Okay, so what is... Oh, that's just a wall. That's not lit up. I thought that was an LCD panel or something. Ooh, creepy and ominous and awesome. Look at that. Alright, so this is the main cockpit. Way bigger than I expected, actually. It looked like a smaller bridge on the outside. Maybe that was... I was thinking it was more of a cockpit, but this is more like a bridge, which is kind of awesome. With its own little atmospheric glass. Yeah, look at that. I like the lighting. Lighting's way better. I'm still getting used to that, so pardon me for commenting on it here and there. I like the screen layout on the back here. That would be a cool place to display some information. And I know the programming blocks are probably for show, but it's still pretty cool. And this is kind of the same thing. Yeah, this is really cool, though. This is a nice little bridge design here. I like some of the arching pillar type archways kind of thing to kind of mirror the glass bubble. Kind of makes it a rounded shape. Really cool. Okay, now there are a couple, and by the way, when it was really dark, I don't know why it's not really dark anymore. There you go. That is really cool. I really like that look. I could keep walking through that hallway all the time. That's really cool. Alright. So, let's see here. We've got... Let's drop. We've got the gravity, gyroscopes, and this looks more of a visible situation, not like we can actually do anything with it. And I think there was one above and below. Let's turn a light on. We've got a medical bay here, kind of wedged in with all these cargo containers, but you gotta make work what you can make work, right? Alright, was that the only door? I feel like this is different. So where's this go? Does this go anywhere? No, just more storage. But you could access it manually, which is cool. I'm assuming it's hooked in through conveyors and everything, but that's still pretty cool. And then... Oh, that's right. You get out here and go around to go that way. Alright, cool. Cool, cool, cool. Let's give it a whirl and see what we can come up with. Okay. Now, I don't have a whole lot of... Like, I don't have any asteroids loaded in, so I'm going to have to do just stats for force and everything. Now, the other thing is I'm not familiar with all of the thrusters enough to really determine whether you should be turning these off, certain ones, and only using the ions and, you know, yada yada yada, outside of the atmosphere. We've got multiple jump drives, lights for the doors, hydrogen thrusters, atmosphere thrusters, and ion thrusters, all of which are on. But I feel like at least the atmosphere should be off, I think. And then I'm kind of getting the vibe from different people and different videos I've seen that the hydrogen ones should probably be off unless you're just wanting a big boost of power, but out in space you really should only be using the ion ones. That's how I've been kind of putting things together, but I am not sure. I haven't been playing on planets or anything, so I am definitely not a resident expert in that regard. Let's just leave them all on, because more thruster power. Yay! So, it actually moves pretty... I mean, you can look at the speeds. It actually gets up to speed pretty good when all of them are on. I am in creative, though, so I don't know if that makes a difference or not. Turning looks pretty good. Again, it's a shuttle, not a fighter, so it's not going to turn on a dime, but it moves pretty good. I mean, it's not real sluggish or anything. So definitely usable. Yeah, so overall I like it. I like it a lot. Alright, so that's going to wrap up the Hydrolite. Now let's move on to the next one. Alrighty, and yet again we have another carrier type ship. This is the USS? No, the S.S.Destiny. Okay. So the S.S.Destiny is designed to be a universal carrier for troops, transports, but also for small ships on and off planets, similar to the Hydrolite we just looked at, but obviously with some different design choices, because the whole ship looks completely different. And just some, you know, it's a bigger ship, actually, I think. I'm not 100% certain on that, so don't quote me on that. I think it's a bigger ship. Looks like a bigger ship. We're going to go with it's a bigger ship. So, yeah, it's giving my frame rate more of a hard time, so there's that. Which I actually have a comment I want to go over with some of you some of my more tech-savvy viewers at the end of the episode, but I will hold off on that for all the people that are just looking at the ship designs and stuff. So overall, I like the outside of the design of this ship very, very much. I haven't really looked at the inside too much, but I really did like the outside. It kind of had a current naval carrier destroyer type ship shape to it, which is pretty cool. Also, not that it's doing my frame rate any good, but I do like these little light show things they've got going on. It's pretty cool, even if it is kind of hurting my frames. But it's pretty sweet. And look at this! Look at this! Oh, they're just so nice. How cool is that? It's got a blinking green arrow right to the door. That's so cool. And I have kind of liked this trend I've been seeing where we're placing screens outside of glass so the inside of the glass can see them, but it doesn't take up space. I kind of like that. It's really cool. Don't entirely know what this screen is for here, but there's definitely a circular shaped airlock there for some reason. There are a couple features. I know I'm going to forget some of them and miss them, so don't kill me for that. There's a description on Steam Workshop files for a reason. For one, there's a ramp right here, which is locked in. We'll see if we can extend that without breaking anything. You can kind of get a little peek into the ship there. That's for allowing other ships to come in and out and be repaired and so on and so forth. Some of the thrusters, I believe it said most if not all, are actually set up to be self-repairing, which is a really, really cool feature to me. Obviously with the atmospheric thrusters pointed the way they are, it has VTOL capabilities, so on and so forth. And let's see, what are the other things? It does have a way, I don't understand the system, it did not explain it, and I haven't looked. But it does have the capability to vent the oxygen and use exterior oxygen on a planet. Look at you, Mr. Fancy Doors. RLB. It's got ourselves a nice little sensor there to pick up on everything. Okay, so this is the, I don't know, main bridge, I guess. It said main bridge, didn't it? Starboard airlock. But anyways, it's supposed to have a way to vent bridge. Yeah, I was right. The air, so that you're not using the ship's air. Ooh, look at that! Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Wait, what did I do? I hit a sensor. Crap. No. Turn back on. Spin. Spin again. Dag nabbit, I broke something already. All I did is walk around. How is that even possible? How did I break something? Oh, maybe the doors were making it do something. Ah, that's what it is. I think. That is so cool. That is so cool. And somebody tell me if I'm wrong. I probably am, but I kind of feel like, not trying to take credit or anything, but I kind of feel like I tried to do the first spinning reactor thingy. Mine obviously failed, because my system couldn't handle building that frickin' ship, that behemoth of a ship. I don't ever know if I even actually finished that, but I feel like I was trying to do that, though I was trying to do it really... I shouldn't say first spinning, I was trying to do a dynamic one that based on how much power it was using. Oh my gosh! This is the coolest ship ever! Oh, look at that! With clear explanations for hotkeys. Oh, I'm in love. I am in love with this ship design. At least the bridge. I can just stay here. I don't need to look at anything else. The bridge is all I need. Oh man, VTOL up. Oh. Oh, maybe that means online, possibly. Atmospheric thrusters. Okay, I gotta try something. If I hit one, oh, it is dynamic. VTOL forward, VTOL up. Oh my, oh my. That is so cool. Shift 1 for tab controls. Or wait, no. Is it? Tab 1. Huh. By the way, I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure that one's got a misspelling there. So anyways, but that is epic. It's got like a, oh my gosh. I'm gonna spend all day up here in this bridge. I gotta keep moving. I gotta gather stuff to show. Sorry. That caught me off guard. Wow, this is a cool ship. Look at that. That is, man, I don't know about you guys, but I am getting a lot of inspiration off of this one. Navigation officer, drone controller. So I'm guessing these do different things, maybe. Not main cockpit. Yeah, I guess they do. That's pretty cool. Weapons officer, security camera control. Got some more details up there. Sensor that I'm not sure what it does. I guess maybe opens this. Alright, let's keep a moving. Dude, look at that. I think that's a hydrogen tank. Again, I'm not real familiar with some of the newer blocks. To engineering, production bay, hangar bays 1 and 2. I guess they both go the same way. I'm not as familiar with some of the newer blocks just because I haven't been playing Let's Play survival type scenarios recently. But I'm pretty darn sure those are hydrogen tanks. This is another no mod, by the way. So here's some of the self-repairing thrusters. They got welders plugged in right next to them, which is really cool. Battery storage bank. I can't quite tell what all goes down there, but all of the internal machinations that keep everything running. We got, looks like an engineering panel. By the way, I like that they decided to change font colors and things like that. That's pretty cool. Ooh, wait a minute. Is that the same screens? That is pretty cool. Okay, they weren't loaded in yet, so some of them were offline. So this leads into what I can only assume more hydrogen storage, cryo chambers, another door. But then this is kind of like, I'm guessing, a maintenance type area where you can work on the reactor stuff. Spherical gravity. Now that's a nice touch. Because if it's turned on, you could walk all the way around the place. Ooh, that's cool. I like that. I never think to use spherical gravity for stuff. Woo! Woo! No, no. No, no. No. Stop. Am I moving or is it moving? Okay, what is going on? Oh, my jetpack's off. I thought it was on. That kind of helps, doesn't it? Yeah, okay, this engine room is awesome, by the way. Let's just leave it at that. Production bay. Okay, before we go to the hangars, let's check out the production bay. Apparently, production bay has a low budget and they get a cheap old door. They don't get one of the cool doors. But this is pretty snazzy. I like these glass floors where you can see the floor below. That's pretty cool. I like that. Okay, so the production bay makes sense. It's all your assemblers and refineries and upgrades and doodads and all that good stuff, which is really cool. I'm guessing some of these panels I'm not giving enough time to populate, but they're actually supposed to be displaying information regarding the different blocks and things. Oh, now I get the lighting. I kept thinking the lighting was glitching, but there's sensors set up so the lights turn off when you're not in the room. That's pretty cool. I think, anyway. See how it goes dark? Let's test that theory. When we walk out here... Lights! Oh my gosh, this is so cool. I know I'm missing some of the features because I'm getting too hung up on all of the bells and whistles. Alright, let's see what we got here. Middle door open close. Close hangar bay. So that's this door. We still haven't found the ramp yet. It's got to be somewhere in all of this stuff. And this is hangar bay 2, I'm guessing. That's 1. And there's nice big old side doors. So rather than like the last ship we just looked at, you could actually fit some relatively large ships in here. I mean, this ship is actually a lot bigger than I expected it to be, so You could fit some pretty big mining ships and stuff in here. Ah, you lovely people that label everything. I love you. Open hangar bay 2, close hangar bay 2, welders on, lights off. However, how do we open the middle one and have access to the ramp? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Unless... maybe this is considered hangar 2? Alright, let's open it. Let's find out. Open, close. Yeah, I'm used to that. I usually break things. And what is all this up here? We've got welders pointed at the thrusters and stuff, which I get, and then it pans around. Welders pointed at the connector and below it, so when you hook in a ship on that connector, it will both repair it and repair the connector. Okay, so that was not the... Oh, well, yes it was. Okay. Lights on, ramp open, close. Let's turn the lights on. Maybe. Did I hit the right button? I don't know. So that's the ramp. There's a lot of timer blocks. That must be... They must have just stuck those there to control all of the ship's doodads and tomfoolery. Alright. So, I was way more satisfied with that ship than I expected to be. So, that's really awesome. Woo! That was a pretty cool shot, actually. I didn't even mean to do that. So, anyways, and it's got some nice placements of solar panels, so you might not have to run everything off of reactor power and all that stuff. And I know the game has changed slightly a lot in terms of, I believe reactors and uranium are now considered medium to endgame level resources, where solar panels are like primary. Used to be solar panels were more expensive because, you know, solar panels, it kind of made the game infinite resourced type of thing. So I like what they're doing with it. I'm interested to actually get going at some point and play more survival stuff on it and test it out. But anyways, that'll wrap things up for the S.S.Destiny. Let's move on to the last one. Alrighty, and last but certainly not least is the, oh dear lord, I know I'm gonna screw this one up, the Skra'tal, I think. I keep wanting to call it the Skra'tal from Witcher, but it's not even spelled the same. But the Scavenger, Skra'tal Scavenger, I think, I don't know. Now this one is a little bit different because from the screenshots of it, I actually thought it was a bit more of like a ship. As it turns out, it's designed primarily and pretty much only for atmospheric uses. So it's a little bit smaller, and it only has atmosphere thrusters. So I'm assuming atmosphere thrusters will work within, well, gee, an atmosphere. But outside of an atmosphere, I'm guessing they probably won't work. It might work right now because I'm in creative mode, but I'm pretty sure in the survival mode it's not designed to do that. So pretty much, according to the description, what this one was designed for is kind of like a big speeder, almost, for like raiders and pirates kind of thing, to store and plunder and chase and whatnot. It does have a docking port here for like a small, because as you can see, this is a decently sized ship for a like a skid type ship, or a raiding speeder. It's not really like a one-person just jump on the bike and go. So it's got a docking port here for another ship, which was referenced in the description, and I'm pretty sure I've seen it before. I don't know if I've had it in the Inspiration series or not, but it's a smaller ship, obviously. But it was designed by the same builder, and I believe it's supposed to fit in here and work in corporation with it as kind of a search and conquer, destroy, hijack, whatever. And then, of course, when it plugs in here, it can, you know, store in all of its oxygen stuff. But, you know, I really do, with the whole movement of planets coming out and stuff, I really was curious to see what people designed and stuff. And this is probably the first build that caught my eye that's a purely atmosphere-driven ship, and not an actual ship that can just transfer atmosphere and fly on boat, but it's like legitimately a planetary vehicle, if you will. Like, this is something that you might carry in like the S.S.Destiny, because I'm pretty sure this would fit in the hangar, and keep it until you land on a planet, and then you would offload it and let it, you know, go about its merry way, stuff like that. So in that regard, I haven't ever really looked at a lot of these kinds of ships before that will that are kind of only usable in atmosphere and stuff. So we've got our reactor back here. I'm mildly, not too big, but mildly surprised at the lack of like solar panels. But again, I haven't been playing on survival, so I don't know what some of the criteria are for them now, and if that would actually make sense now. But anyways, so you got your storage. We have a place for oxygen. I don't know if that's just there for reasons, or if that's actually what the atmospheric thrusters are powered by. I mentioned before I don't really recall what the fuel source is for those. We do have a few turrets, at least 2 that I see. 4. Okay, so 2 on each side, which makes sense if you're going to use it in a raiding capacity. It also does have, it looks like upward and downward thrusters, so you could, it's not going to be locked into like a hovercraft. I mean, you could actually fly with it, type of thing, which is pretty cool. Connectors for hooking into other ships. Antennas are also present, so you can find things. It does have a ramp here, but none of the landing gears or ramps seem to be retractable. That's probably a byproduct of not having any mods built into it, because a lot of the retractable stuff you see is used by mods. So let's give this a whirl and see. I was kind of afraid of that. So it does not, wait, maybe. This might, forward thrust, backward thrusters. This is increase, but that's on and off. Interesting. Let's see. Forward thrusters. Oops. Toggle on. Okay, so they are on. I was afraid they weren't on. So it probably doesn't. The atmospheric ones probably don't work outside, which would make perfect sense. So I can't actually test the speed because, you know, kind of sort of locked out of planetary functions at the moment. So that's basically going to wrap things up for this episode. Now, I do want to add a small little note here for anyone that's interested in anything but the build and interested in future channel things and how it affects stuff. So a lot of you know that I was kind of disappointed when Planets came out that my system really can't run it very well. I even tried, as some suggested, I turned grass off to completely like no flora type of thing. I turned all of the settings down to low minus resolution, but texture quality, shading, anti-aliasing, yada 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 yada. And it didn't really look all that great, and I was probably getting about 15 to 20 frames without recording. When I recorded, it considerably dropped even more. So it still wasn't real viable, so I was kind of bummed about that. But I was under the impression that I really couldn't do anything else with my computer. I had thought I had kind of maxed it out and capped it out type of thing, and it turns out I hadn't really been paying attention to some of the more recent graphical technologies and doodads and whatnots. Anyway, long story short, I currently have a NVIDIA GTX 460 graphics card, which has been doing pretty good, but I will admit, within the past 6 months to a year, I've had a lot of games like Steam Early Access, Space Engineers, Grav, Hardland. I'm trying to think of some other ones. I know I had Subnautica was another one, Elite Dangerous, that some of the newer games that were either not really well optimized or just coming out or whatever were starting to make my graphics card feel its age. It was, I've had it for like 5 years or something, and at the time it worked really well. It ran everything I wanted it to, but it's starting to feel a little bit weak. Now, my processor, I believe, is an Intel i7-870, if my memory recalls properly. It's a quad core, but it's a 2.93 gigahertz processor. And I mentioned that to somebody on the comments of one of my latest videos that had asked about my rig, and I mentioned it, and they actually told me that the processor shouldn't be too bad, but my graphics card was kind of weak, and I was like, huh, I hadn't really thought about that. Anyways, looked into it, and it turns out I was looking at the NVIDIA GTX 960. So basically, instead of the 460, it's the 960. Now, there are a couple different models. The one I was looking at is the 4 gig version, so I have a 1 gig, and this would be a 4, so a big step up there. But I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to run it for power or whatever. It turns out it actually takes less power than the 460, so kudos to NVIDIA for being awesome. And the price point really wasn't that bad. It was only a couple $100. So I'm looking into getting that, but I was trying to reach out to kind of the any of my tech-savvy viewers out there to basically get feedback on if you know of that card or have had a similar card or something to that, if you have a 970 or 980, you know, something like that, to where it's, oh yeah, that would totally run planets fine on high end, or yeah, you'd have problems late game, whatever. I'll probably end up doing it anyway because it's within my budget, and based on all the stat pages and product specifications I'm reading, it would probably solve a lot of my graphical problems for most all of my games, not just Space Engineers, and in turn make my videos a whole lot better because I wouldn't be getting frame rate hits as soon, even if you did get them for these massive Star Destroyers or something. So anyways, just throwing that out there as far as if you have any insight into that or knowledge, do feel free to leave a comment or message me and give me some feedback on your thoughts about that kind of setup. And so on and so forth. And if you don't, well, more than likely I will probably end up doing it anyway, unless I get a bunch of people telling me, no, don't do that because it won't solve your problems. It's not that good. But I don't think that'll happen. I'm usually pretty tech savvy enough that I can get a ballpark idea of what I'm looking at, so I think it'll work, and I think it's within my budget, so it's probably what I'm going to end up doing. So for those of you that don't really care about giving feedback or don't know about the tech-savvy side, just know that probably in the future, within the next couple of weeks or something, I'll probably be getting that. And if it fixes things the way I hope, my videos should improve, my frame rate should improve on bigger builds, etc., so on and so forth. So on that note, I'm going to actually wrap up this episode here. In the meantime, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I will see you all next time. A peace.